Hey CHCC, I'm here with Jesus Castillo. It's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and there's a big march going down here in San Antonio. And today I thought we would talk a little bit about racism. And we know that Martin Luther King Jr. made a huge difference in our society. And one of the things that some people have asked me, Jesus, is does racism really exist today? And so I wanted to get your experience with that. Does it still exist? Have we progressed? Are we making progress on racism?
I think we are making progress on racism. I still think it exists because it's an issue that has not been laid to rest. There's many times where people might not know they come off as racist, but I remember when I was applying to seminary, we had a room full of people, students, first-year students, entering students, and we were taking some aptitude test, and the professor was going around handing out the answer sheets and question sheets and pencils, and when he got to me and a Filipino colleague or fellow student, he gave us little bitty pencils, and he was handing out brand new pencils to everybody else, and you know, I didn't notice it at first, but then one of the Anglo white students said, "Hey, professor, they know how to use a new pencil like us," and you know, that's when it dawned on me. But you know, it can be subtle and it can be downright just rude and in your face.
Yeah. And regardless, it hurts. I mean, you've told me how it kind of made you feel at that point in time, and so it made me think about why do you think some people may come off as racist? I don't think they always intentionally do this, but maybe what's the why behind that?
I think it's. I think the main reason is fear and power. Okay. Or the loss of power. Mm-hmm. Like things are getting out of my control and I'm not going to be in control, and that fear of losing that control. The other thing is fear of I don't know what this person or this culture or whatever it may be thinks. So that might be another fear. Another thing is ignorance. Mm-hmm. You know, people just might not know better. They
don't realize how they're sounding, right? I know I've been there. I've said things or did things, and man, I didn't realize how it made other people feel.
Exactly. You know, and it can be because they're ignorant as to how they come across, mm-hmm. and it can be because it's a learned behavior. Their parents told, mm-hmm. you know, or wherever their friends or whoever they hung out with or growing up. I mean, but I think those are the main reasons why somebody can come across as being racist.
And so sometimes we can do it unintentionally, not realizing how we hurt people. And so the thing that you've pointed out to me several times is, hey, have you ever realized how this sounds or how this might come off? And so one of the things that we want to be careful about is realizing what comes out of our mouth and how that makes an impact on others. Something you pointed out to me that I thought was very interesting is a lot of times we make racism into an Anglo-Hispanic issue or an Anglo-African-American issue or an Anglo-Indian issue. But you were pointing out that all races tend to have some kind of racism, and could you expand on that a little bit?
Yes, I think one of the things I was in dealing with talking about religious persecution and which would be racism. You know, I would think one of my professors said, you know, the group that has more numbers, whatever it may be, mm-hmm. usually tends to bully on the people mm-hmm. or group with less numbers. Mm-hmm. And I know growing up in Eagle Pass, we were predominantly Mexican, and we might have been racist against the white folk there in Eagle Pass. Mm-hmm. again, it's something that I grew up with, and at the time I didn't realize it was racist. Mm-hmm. But thinking back, maybe it might have been.
Sure.
But that's the other thing is we need to be careful to not be oversensitive on these things. Right. We can drown in a cup of water, but we have to be, as Christians, we need to understand that God wants us to be witnesses for the gospel. Mm-hmm. And not only that, he says, from now on, there's no more Jew, no more Gentile, no more women, no more men, no more slave, no more free. Mm-hmm. We're all on the same level. Mm. And as Christians, our outlook is to be equal with everybody. Try our best to be equal with everybody.
And to show love and compassion.
Compassion for everybody.
Next week, we're going to continue this. We're going to look at how should a Christian respond to racism. Should we ignore it? Should we stick up and say something about it? But how should we respond? We know it's difficult when we hear comments or we see it taking place. And so what is a Christian's role in racism? And so I hope that you'll join us next week.